continue with this war unchecked, where does it end? He already started with Crimea a number of years ago. Now he has his sights set on the entirety of Ukraine. Any type of concession to Putin only emboldens him. We have seen that throughout history over and over again. When dictators get hungry, they don't stop until they have wrecked the entire global order. So yes, absolutely, I would be in support of that bill and be in support of additional military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. The last thing I'll mention, one of the things that I have been quite dismayed about is the performance of Secretary Pete Hegseth, and I have not seen a word out of Senator Collins to this effect. Secretary Hegseth is, of course, rankly unqualified for his position. But more importantly, the secretary is not thinking about war in a modern context. He's obsessed with testosterone levels of troops, and he's not thinking about the ways that AI and drone technology are going to put America at risk. So among the many things we need to do is boot him from his role and actually get a sharp Secretary of Defense in place.
Collins opposed his confirmation, though, right?
Indeed. But since then, where has been the fury?
Jordan Wood, war in Ukraine, more support from the U.S., about the same? How do you see it?
I would increase it even. I mean, I think this is one of the terrible things that Donald Trump has done as president is create so much chaos internationally. There is not certainty. Our allies no longer know if we have their back. And that's why we're seeing European countries increase their military spending. It's because they don't feel like they can rely and trust on us because we have a president who's threatening to invade Greenland. But I would also say it ties back to the Iran war. I mean, this is an absolute mistake. And the war that we are in over there has benefited Russia because they shut down of the Strait of Hormuz. We have now changed sanctions on Russia that allows them to make even more money off of their oil and natural gas. I mean, it's connected, but it all stems down to the instability around the world that Donald Trump creates. And we need certainty. And so I think we need to stick by our allies and help them win this war because Putin is a dangerous, dangerous threat to world peace.
Senator Bellows.
When it comes to Ukraine versus Russia in this moment, I will always support Ukraine because what we want America to be about, what it always was about, is about defending democracy and standing up for freedom wherever it is, and standing up against dictators and people who are oppressing their people, no matter who they are. And what we have seen with Trump and what Susan Collins has failed to stop is a completely unstable foreign policy. One day we're supporting Ukraine, then we're supporting Russia. One day we're supporting Iran, then we're not, then we are, the street's open, it's not. The challenge is we need the core American values that my World War II grandfather, Bill Bellows, taught me, is that you stand up for freedom.
Troy Jackson.
Well, obviously, I'd like to support Ukraine. I mean, they are, definitely working as hard as they can to hold off the fascism of Russia, and they deserve our support. So yes, I would.
You mentioned dictators, Secretary Bellows. Since we didn't really delve into Iran because you'd already covered it, let me quickly ask you all about Venezuela, where President Trump deposed, some would say abducted, a dictator. He had his reasons. What's your view of that raid and whether it made sense?
So again, the reason I am running is the stakes are so high. We have someone in the White House that we can't trust to take a beat, slow down, look at the facts, make an assessment, and do the right thing. And Susan Collins isn't stopping him and helping him slow down. Congress is doing nothing. So with Venezuela, we should look at the facts. It's sometimes confusing who's right and who's wrong. But what we need in Congress are strong moral compasses to help make that decision.
I think Collins did vote for a war powers resolution to limit what Trump could do in Venezuela in January, right?
So forgive me. A week ago, I was on vacation on a river on the Kennebec, and I've been running for governor for a long time, and came up and, just 274 votes, according to the statisticians, away from winning. I didn't think I was running for U.S. Senate a week later. And what I do know is that when I need to know the facts, I will. I'll do my homework, and I won't speak on something before I know what I want to say.
Troy Jackson, your view on the Maduro raid in Venezuela?
Well, again, getting obviously the information, to make a good judgment on that, I think is key. I mean, we've seen Donald Trump tell us that Iran has no nuclear capabilities, and then months later go in, starting a war. If Venezuela was a problem that that we had credible intelligence on, then yeah, that's perfectly fine. But I just can't trust what's going on with him or Hegseth, because they really don't have any idea. And then getting back to Collins, I mean, she could stop this as the chair of appropriations. You can shut off the funding for these things and make it so that we actually do slow down and get credible intelligence.
Rob Shaw, Venezuela, there was a federal indictment against him for drug smuggling in New York.
Look, you're not going to. I am not an apologist for Maduro or the Chavez regime. I want to be really clear. They are corrupt dictators that have engaged in heinous things, kidnappings, murders. I'm not an apologist for them. Let me be really clear. However, that does not mean Donald Trump has the unqualified right to send in a team to depose him, kidnapping, and bring him here. There are ways to go about this under international law, something that Donald Trump is not really keen on. There's a through line between Venezuela and Iran, which is Donald Trump's view of the world is might makes right. That is a complete departure from the way that the U.S. has worked with our allies, whether in NATO or in South America. Now, the question to ask is anyone in the United States safer because we committed an extrajudicial kidnapping? And the answer is no. We need to restore our place in this world.
And Jordan Wood, your view of that Venezuela raid?
I opposed it since day one. I think the through line, though, is with the corruption. Before Trump was elected, he told a group of big oil executives and lobbyists that if you spend $1 billion to help me get elected, I will deliver for you. What does that look like? Things like taking Maduro, which Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. And big oil has wanted to get into that country for a long time, and they got what they wanted. So the corruption, to me, is the through line here. And the fact that the Trump administration could consult oil executive and lobbyists, but not Congress before taking this action, is a huge error. And we need more politicians that the morning after the Venezuela stand up and say, this is wrong. It doesn't even matter if the mission was successful. Of course, we all support our troops, but this is a terrible precedent to set, and it is a hallmark of the corruption of the Trump administration.